The sky cracked open. Not with the dull gray of storm clouds, but with fire, green, corrosive, unnatural fire that burned without smoke, burning both steel and hope. From the scorched ruins of what was once a bustling city, Captain Aeliana Vaz sprinted, her boots splashing through molten puddles of shattered concrete and spilled fuel. Behind her, a guttural roar pierced the air, a sound no human throat could produce. The aliens had arrived. Her squad had been outnumbered before, yes. But never like this. The attackers moved in shapes that defied comprehension, limbs jointed at impossible angles, claws that could pierce armor, eyes that glowed like dying suns. She didn't hesitate. Her pulse hammered in her ears, not from fear, but from the electric clarity of survival. Vaz! Over here! Sergeant Kieran's voice cut through the chaos. He was crouched behind the skeletal remains of a building, his rifle still smoking. The evac point. A winged screech cut him off. A shadow fell over him, stretching long and lethal. Aeliana launched herself, tackling him to the ground just as the creature's talons smashed into the concrete where he had been standing. Dust and sparks filled the air, choking and blinding. "God damn it!" she shouted, coughing, shaking the grit from her eyes. "Move! Now!" They ran, not toward safety, they didn't know where that was, but toward the one advantage humans still had, the terrain. Cities were predictable. Ruins were chaos. Humanity had built traps in the rubble, hidden weapon caches, and improvised walls that even these monsters hesitated to cross. Every corner, every shadow was a potential kill zone, and every kill zone was a promise of survival. "Vaz!" Kieran gasped as they paused behind a collapsed overpass. His face was smeared with soot and blood. How are they?" "Calculating," she said, eyes scanning the horizon. "Not instinct. Strategy. They adapt. But they aren't human. That's our edge." Her mind raced, cataloging options. Evac point compromised. Squad's numbers dwindling. Civilian survivors unaccounted for. Supplies running low. But even as the calculation streamed through her, a different, more personal thought stabbed her. Asterisk, he's gone. He's dead. Asterisk, her brother, Lieutenant Marcus Vaz, had been at the city's outer perimeter when the first wave hit. No one had returned from that checkpoint. No one. Aeliana swallowed the lump in her throat and forced herself forward. Guilt, grief, they were luxuries she couldn't afford. Not now. She grabbed a comm unit from her belt and keyed it. "Command, this is Vaz. City Sector 9. Static." She punched the transmitter again. "I repeat, City Sector 9 is compromised. Civilians still in danger. Requesting immediate extraction." No response. Not a flicker, not a whisper. Only the wind carrying the metallic stench of burning. Kieran leaned closer. "They've jammed us?" "They always jam first," Aeliana replied. Her hand found the sidearm at her thigh, cold and reassuring. "That's when the hunt begins. They want us scared. Don't let them. Not now. Not ever." A sudden shriek drew their attention. Across the street, a human figure ran, barefoot, bloodied, a child barely 10 years old. Behind her, a skeletal predator lunged, claws cutting through the air with lethal precision. "Get her!" Aeliana barked, firing. Her shots rang out, a symphony of rebellion against the alien cadence. 1, 2, 3 precise rounds. The creature faltered, its momentum broken. The child didn't wait. She stumbled into Aeliana's arms. "Go!" she shouted, propelling the girl forward. But instinct betrayed her. The girl froze, eyes wide, pointing behind them. A second wave had emerged. These were not the first invaders. These were different. Faster. Smarter. Calculated. Aeliana's jaw tightened. Asterisk, they adapt. They learn. Asterisk. "Move!" she screamed again, hoisting the child and running. Sparks hissed from the remnants of electrical poles around them, explosions making the ground quake. Concrete shattered under the weight of falling debris. Her lungs burned. Her arms screamed. But surrender was a foreign word, erased from her vocabulary when Marcus had died in the first strike. Hours, or maybe minutes, time was irrelevant when fighting for your life. Later, she and Kieran found temporary cover in the skeletal remains of a shopping mall. Smoke curled around twisted metal signs, neon tubes flickered erratically, and everywhere, the echoes of human screams mingled with alien shrieks. "We can't hold here," Kieran panted, checking ammo. "Supplies are gone, and we can't risk the child out there." "She's a symbol," Aeliana said quietly, almost to herself. "Every child we save is a message they won't crush humanity completely. That's what they fear." Kieran shook his head. "Voss, you're thinking like a commander now, not like a human." "The kid—" "I am human," she interrupted sharply. "And humans survive by outthinking, outmaneuvering, and outlasting. We fight smarter, Kieran, not just harder. That's the lesson Marcus taught me. That's the lesson we carry." They rested for a moment, hearts hammering, ears straining for the next attack. And that's when she saw it, above the rubble, on the jagged skyline, a ship unlike any other humans had ever designed. Sleek, black, silent, but impossibly large. Its shadow fell over the city, swallowing streets and buildings like a predator surveying its prey. "They're not just raiding anymore," Kieran muttered, voice low. "They're hunting the entire sector." "Yes," Aeliana said, gripping her rifle. "And we're still standing. That's what terrifies them." She activated a small device on her wrist, a hacked alien tracker salvaged from the first wave. It beeped frantically. Coordinates. A pattern. Movement. She realized, with a cold clarity, that the aliens were not acting randomly. Their attacks were synchronized, their strategies adaptive. And someone, something, was directing them. Her mind raced. Plans, contingencies, possible allies. She had to act before the city fell completely. "Kieran," she said, voice steady, despite the chaos. "We split. I'll draw their attention, create a diversion. You take the girl and find the safe route north. If we survive, we rendezvous at the old command bunker. Do you copy?" Kieran hesitated, then nodded, eyes filled with both fear and resolve. "Copy. Godspeed, Voss." Before he could move, the first of the alien hunters descended. Massive, armored claws dripping with a strange luminescent fluid. Aeliana raised her weapon, and for the first time in hours she smiled, not because she was safe, but because she was ready. "This isn't the end," she muttered. "It's the beginning." The first shot rang out. Not a warning. Not a plea. A declaration. Humanity had survived worse. Humanity would survive this. And as the fire of war consumed the city around her, she knew something terrifyingly exhilarating. The aliens weren't ready for what humanity could unleash. The city's skeleton stretched out beneath her, a graveyard of concrete, steel, and ash. Aeliana crouched behind the remains of a collapsed office tower, watching the alien ship drift over the skyline, its shadow swallowing streets like a tide of darkness. Every instinct screamed at her, move, fight, survive. Yet this time, the calculus was different. She wasn't just running, she was planning. Kieran's voice crackled over the calm. "Voss, we made it to the river. The child's scared, but she's holding together. What do you want us?" "North. Old command bunker. Coordinates sent," Aeliana replied, voice calm but edged with urgency. She adjusted the tracker strapped to her wrist. Every movement of the invaders was predictable now, and predictability was leverage. Her boots crunched on broken glass as she moved. Shadows shifted. Every corner could hide a predator, every alley a death trap. And yet, for the first time, she felt the stirrings of hope. Humans had survived worse. The Great Divide. The Plague Years. Wars that tore entire continents apart. This was just another storm, albeit a storm with teeth. Then she heard it. Whispers. Metallic, mechanical, but unmistakably intelligent. Alien drones, previously unseen, scuttling over rubble like spiders on patrol. Aeliana's pulse spiked, but she didn't flinch. She melted into the shadows, letting the creatures pass, studying their movements. They weren't just hunting, they were communicating. Patterns. Signals. Directives. A flash of realization hit her. They have a command network, she muttered. Not a hive mind, but a network. Someone's coordinating them. Someone smart. She scanned the horizon. Smoke from the burning city formed unnatural shapes. And within that smoke, she saw them, human silhouettes moving with purpose. Survivors, yes, but armed, organized. They weren't a ragtag mob, they were an army in waiting. Wait, she whispered, almost to herself. Her hand hovered over the sidearm at her hip. This isn't chaos. It's opportunity. Her mind turned over possibilities. She needed allies. Information. Resources. Supplies. And most importantly, leverage against the invaders. She moved with precision, avoiding open streets, keeping to ruins, her every step a calculation of distance, cover, and danger. By mid-afternoon, she reached the edge of the river. Kieran and the child were already there. Relief softened her tension, just briefly. Good. You made it, she said. Her gaze swept the horizon. Across the water, a faint glimmer, signs of life. Human life, moving toward an abandoned dockyard. Kieran squinted. Scouts? No. Resistance, she corrected. And possibly reinforcements. We might have more allies than we thought. The child, clinging to Kieran, asked quietly. Will they hurt us? Aeliana crouched to meet her gaze. Only if they try. But we fight smart. We fight together. And humans, we don't give up. Her words were more than reassurance. They were a promise. They moved toward the dockyard under the cover of collapsed warehouses. From above, alien drones monitored, but they were slower, less flexible than the humans. Aeliana noted patterns, routes, blind spots. She could turn this into an ambush, even with her small squad. Inside the dockyard, she found them, resistance fighters, ragtag but determined. Faces worn, weapons salvaged, eyes burning with defiance. Their leader, a tall woman with a jagged scar across her cheek, stepped forward. You Voss? The woman asked, voice sharp. Heard the rumors. Thought you were dead. Not dead, Aeliana replied evenly. Just busy. The woman's lips curled into a half-smile. Busy surviving. That's human enough for me. We've been tracking the invaders for days. We've mapped their patrols, studied their behaviors. And we have a plan to hit them where it hurts. Aeliana's eyes narrowed. Go on. The woman, who introduced herself as Commander Aeliana, laid out a map of the city, marking zones controlled by aliens, patrol timings, and weak points. It wasn't perfect. Nothing in this war was. But it was actionable. They're strongest on the Western Front, Alara explained. Command ship coordinates above, drones in orbit, but their ground units are less disciplined. Hit the supply lines, cut the communication relays, we disrupt their network. And you? She gestured to Aeliana. You have experience with adaptive strategies. You can predict their next moves. Aeliana's mind whirred. Yes. But it'll require a diversion. Something they can't ignore. She outlined a strike plan. A small team would lure alien forces into the northern industrial sector while a secondary team destroyed the communication hubs. The child's safety was paramount, of course, but she also saw an opportunity. If the diversion succeeded, it would buy humanity time to organize a larger counterattack. Then it's settled, Alara said. You lead the diversion. I'll handle the sabotage. Aeliana glanced at Kieran and the child. Ready? Kieran nodded. Let's show them what humans are made of. Night fell, bringing darkness that was both enemy and ally. Streets were empty, except for the occasional alien patrol. Aeliana's squad moved like shadows, using silence as armor. The first ambush was brutal. Aliens, confident and predatory, were caught off guard. Humans struck with precision, disabling drones, collapsing scaffolding, and creating chaos in zones that had been considered secure. Amid the chaos, Aeliana felt a shift, not just in the battle, but in the universe around her. Humans were learning again. Not just to survive, but to fight with intent. To adapt. To innovate. Every strike, every maneuver, was a testament to resilience, to intelligence, to the unyielding core of humanity. In the midst of the firefight, she noticed something unnerving. One alien unit didn't follow the pattern. It moved against the flow, toward the north, toward Kieran and the child. Her pulse spiked. Kieran! Move north! Now! Kieran pivoted instantly, taking the child with him, disappearing into the shadows. Aeliana opened fire, drawing the aliens' attention, buying them precious seconds. The alien hesitated, unfamiliar with being challenged, unfamiliar with humans who adapted. And that hesitation was enough. When the smoke cleared, the secondary team had successfully disabled 2 communication hubs. Alien patrols were in disarray. Humanity had won a tactical victory, yes, but the larger war was far from over. The aliens were learning too. Every misstep had consequences, and every victory was fragile. Aeliana knelt beside Kieran as the child clung to him, sobbing quietly. "We're not done," she said softly, though her voice carried steel. "They'll come back. They always do. But we've shifted the balance. Just a little. That's enough." Kieran exhaled, relief mixing with exhaustion. "We did it, for now." "For now," Aeliana echoed, eyes scanning the horizon. Somewhere out there, the command ship still loomed. Somewhere out there, intelligence was gathering. But humanity had shown it could strike back. That knowledge, that defiance, was the seed of something far greater. And as the first stars flickered above the ruined city, Aeliana allowed herself a single thought, grim, calculated, and relentless. They will regret underestimating us. The night was fractured by fire and screams. Explosions shook the city as the alien forces scrambled to respond to humanity's growing resistance. Aeliana moved like a ghost through the ruins, her senses sharpened, every nerve alight with anticipation. This wasn't a battle of numbers anymore, it was a war of minds. And she intended to win. Kieran's voice came over the calm, strained but steady. "Voss, the western flank is collapsing. They're pulling reinforcements from the east. Elara's team is holding, but barely." "Hold them," Aeliana replied, her tone a whip crack of authority. "We've come too far to let hesitation cost us everything." She ducked behind a toppled wall as a squad of alien shock troops scuttled past, their metallic exoskeletons glinting under the firelight. She fired, precise, deadly. The drones collapsed in a shower of sparks. Each shot was deliberate, each move a calculation in a larger puzzle only she could see. The city itself seemed alive in this chaos, twisted steel and crumbling concrete forming both shield and weapon. She led her team into the heart of the industrial sector, where the aliens had centralized their supply lines. If humanity could sever them, the entire enemy strategy would unravel. "Targets locked," she murmured, scanning the map etched in her mind. Storage depots, communication relays, armored transports, all vulnerable. But she wasn't naive. The aliens had adapted quickly. Every step forward was a risk. Suddenly, a piercing shriek tore through the air, a signal, clear and terrifying. The command ship above had detected the disruption. Alien reinforcements were descending, and they were relentless. "Form up! Defensive positions!" Aeliana shouted, voice carrying over the infernal noise. Humans responded instinctively, bodies moving like water, forming barriers, ambush points, traps. Improvisation was their weapon, desperation their fuel. One drone lurched forward, larger than the others, its limbs bristling with energy conduits. Aeliana froze for a heartbeat, studying it. This wasn't standard. It was an adaptive unit, designed to predict and counter human strategies. Her pulse quickened. "Focus fire! Keep it from reaching the relays!" As the firefight intensified, Aeliana's mind raced. The aliens weren't merely responding, they were learning from every strike. The stakes had escalated beyond survival. Every tactic, every decision, now carried exponential consequences. Kieran moved beside her, breathing heavy but steady. "They're adapting faster than we anticipated." "They're aggressive," Aeliana replied. "But they're not human. They lack instinctual unpredictability. That's our edge." They pressed forward, inching toward the central hub. Explosions tore apart walls, fires ignited, smoke choked the air. Yet, through it all, Aeliana's squad pressed on, moving with lethal precision. And then she saw it, a figure in the distance, commanding the alien units. The first time she had seen it up close, a chill had crept along her spine. The alien Overlord, larger and more imposing than any other, its form both elegant and grotesque, radiated authority. Its presence was the nucleus around which the alien force rotated. "There," she whispered. "Their command node. That's who's controlling them." Kieran's eyes widened. "You think we can take it?" Aeliana's jaw tightened. "We have to." The path to the Overlord was a gauntlet. Drones, patrols, defensive turrets, all obstacles designed to stall or kill. But every human strike had softened the defenses, weakened the network. They weren't invincible. They were vulnerable. Aeliana signaled the team. They split into tactical units, flanking from multiple angles. Fire and smoke masked their movements. The alien Overlord's attention shifted constantly, reacting, recalibrating, but never anticipating the full scope of human ingenuity. Explosions rocked the sector, and Aeliana pushed forward, vaulting over rubble, firing at any approaching unit. Her breath came in measured bursts, her mind a combination of instinct and strategy. They were close now, within reach of the command node. The alien Overlord noticed first. Its eyes, cold and unfeeling, locked on her. Its voice, amplified by resonance fields, cut through the chaos. "You cannot win. Humanity is obsolete. You will fall." Aeliana's teeth clenched. "We didn't come here to fall. We came here to survive, and to prove that you're wrong." She leapt from cover, firing a volley that shattered a defensive turret. Kieran covered her flank, precision strikes crippling drone reinforcements. Sparks and fire danced across the battlefield like a violent aurora, but their momentum didn't waver. And then it happened, the first real test of human resilience. A secondary wave of alien units poured in, overwhelming one of the flanks. Humans fell, screams echoing, but their response was instantaneous. Alara's team, previously engaged in sabotage, arrived to plug the breach. Improvisation and adaptation met aggression with ferocity. Aeliana pressed forward alone, navigating a maze of fire, broken steel, and rubble. The command node loomed ahead, pulsing with energy. Every instinct screamed that one wrong step could end her life, and the mission. She ignored the fear. She was humanity personified, unyielding, relentless, clever. With a final calculated maneuver, she breached the node's perimeter. Energy conduits sizzled as she overloaded circuits, severing the alien network. Drones fell lifelessly from the sky, and the Overlord snarled, taken aback. Its coordination faltered. Kieran and the others arrived, guns blazing, and together they forced the Overlord to retreat temporarily. The battlefield shifted. Humanity had turned the tide. It wasn't victory, not yet, but it was proof they could fight, and they could hurt the invaders in ways the aliens hadn't anticipated. Breathing heavily, Aeliana looked around. Humans were exhausted, injured yet alive. Their eyes held something powerful, defiance. Every loss had taught them, every strike had sharpened them, and now, after chaos and fire, they had leverage. She spoke softly, but every word carried weight. "We've shown them who we are. Not just survivors, not just fighters, but humans. Clever, unpredictable, unbroken. And we're just getting started." Kieran put a hand on her shoulder. "What now?" Aeliana's gaze swept the horizon, distant fires painting the city in hues of red and gold. "Now, we finish what we started. The command node was just the beginning. They underestimated us. That's the mistake they'll never recover from." And for the first time in weeks, a flicker of hope sparked in the human heart of the battlefield. Victory wasn't guaranteed. The aliens would retaliate, stronger, smarter. But humanity had shown it could fight back, think, adapt, and endure. The turning point had solidified into a battlefield revelation. Humans were not merely survivors. They were predators of their own kind, a force the galaxy had never reckoned with. And as the first hints of dawn broke over the ruined city, Aeliana allowed herself a grim smile. The war wasn't over. But for the first time, the outcome was not preordained. The horizon was a jagged silhouette of ruined skyscrapers and scorched earth. Smoke rose in black tendrils, curling into a sky already torn by alien bombardments. Humanity's forces, ragged and exhausted, had regrouped in the heart of what remained of the city. Every soldier carried the weight of losses, friends, families, entire battalions, but they stood. Aeliana moved among them, surveying the remnants of her team. Kieran's arm was bandaged, blood seeping through the cloth, yet his eyes burned with determination. Alara's face was streaked with soot, but she still carried her weapon as though it were an extension of herself. This was the human spirit distilled, broken, yes, but unyielding. Status? Aeliana asked, her voice calm but cutting through the noise. All units accounted for, mostly, Kieran said. We've lost too many, but the enemy is fractured. Their reinforcements aren't coordinated. We have a window. Aeliana's mind raced. This was the moment they had been shaping toward, the strike that could turn desperation into dominance. But the alien Overlord still lived, and its command node, though crippled, remained functional at a minimal level. One wrong move could erase every gain. Then we move, she said. Every second we wait, they adapt. The path ahead was a gauntlet of debris and energy fields, the latter pulsing in alien rhythms that disoriented and threatened to fry human sensors. Aeliana led the charge, Kieran and Alara flanking her, with squads fanning out to suppress the remaining alien patrols. They approached the core, the central node where the alien Overlord had consolidated its authority. It loomed like a cathedral of steel and energy, glowing with a sickly green light. Every pulse seemed alive, a heartbeat of alien ingenuity. Aeliana's voice cut through the calm. This is it. The core goes down, the Overlord goes down, and we force a collapse. Stick to the plan. Are you sure this will work? Kieran asked, his tone betraying exhaustion and fear. Aeliana's eyes hardened. No. But nothing ever is. That's what makes us dangerous. They breached the perimeter. Defensive drones attacked instantly, but humans were prepared, moving with a lethal coordination born of desperation. Sparks flew, limbs tore, and the air filled with a cacophony of gunfire and alien shrieks. Every human strike was precise, every movement choreographed by survival instinct. The alien Overlord emerged from the shadows, its presence more imposing than ever. Its limbs, now scarred from previous encounters, glowed with energy conduits, and its voice resonated like thunder through the battlefield. You will not prevail, human. Every plan you execute, I anticipate. Aeliana stepped forward, firing bursts of concentrated plasma. Then you've been watching the wrong species, she shot back. We adapt. We fight. And we survive. The confrontation was instantaneous and brutal. Kieran engaged the Overlord's smaller units, covering Aeliana as she advanced. Alara disabled the energy conduits powering the node, sparks erupting in showers around her. Every second was a calculated risk. One misstep could cost them everything. Suddenly, the Overlord lunged, its massive claws tearing through concrete and steel. Aeliana dodged, rolling beneath the appendage, and fired directly at the core of its energy node. Sparks erupted, and the alien shrieked, staggering back. But this was only a partial victory. The Overlord adapted instantly, its remaining systems pulsing faster, learning from every strike. You're relentless, it said, almost admiringly, as it recalibrated its attacks. I told you, Aeliana said, breath ragged but steady. We survive. That's the difference. A sudden explosion tore through the sector, a diversion, set by human units elsewhere. Aeliana used the opening to strike at the Overlord directly, firing a precise sequence of charges designed to destabilize its core. The alien roared, staggering as the energy node began to collapse. But as the dust settled, Aeliana realized the twist, a horrifying truth. The core's collapse triggered a chain reaction she hadn't anticipated. The entire alien network wasn't just damaged, it was about to self-destruct, sending a feedback wave across every surviving unit. And if she didn't act now, the wave would annihilate everything, including her own forces. "Kieran!" she shouted. "We have to evacuate! Now!" He looked at her, comprehension dawning, fear flashing in his eyes. "But the Overlord?" "Gone," Aeliana said. "If we stay, we all die. Move!" They sprinted through the corridor, dodging falling debris, fires, and failing energy fields. The node collapsed behind them in a shower of molten metal and sparks, the alien overlord's final scream echoing as its consciousness disintegrated. Emerging into the open, the dawn breaking over the ruined city cast an eerie light on the battlefield. Human soldiers, battered and bloodied, stumbled forward, many crying, others simply collapsing in exhaustion. The alien threat had been neutralized, but at a staggering cost. Entire brigades were lost, supply lines destroyed, and the city itself lay in ruins. Aeliana collapsed beside Kieran and Ilara. For the first time, she allowed herself to feel the weight of everything, the friends lost, the carnage, the price of survival. "We did it," she whispered. Ilara shook her head. "No. We survived. That's different." "Semantics," Kieran muttered, trying to smile through the exhaustion. But then, from the rubble, something moved. A faint hum, almost imperceptible, resonated from the ruins of the command node. Aeliana's heart sank. The Overlord's consciousness, fragmented, hidden, surviving, was reaching out. A new threat, dormant but very real. "We may have won the battle," she said, voice steady despite the fear gnawing at her. "But the war isn't over." The surviving humans looked around, a mix of triumph and trepidation in their eyes. They had faced annihilation, stared into the abyss, and emerged alive. Yet the galaxy was still a dangerous place, full of unseen enemies and new horrors. Aeliana stood, scanning the horizon. "We've proven something important today," she said, voice carrying across the silent battlefield. "They can't predict us. They can't control us. And no matter how strong they think they are, they can't break humanity." Kieran placed a hand on her shoulder. "So what now?" "Now we rebuild," she replied, eyes fierce with determination. "We train. We prepare. We take every lesson, every loss, and we become unstoppable. And when they come back, we'll be ready." As the sun rose, painting the city in blood red and gold, the surviving humans gathered, battered but unbroken. Their eyes met, silent vows exchanged. They had survived the unimaginable, and in doing so, had transformed into something far more dangerous than even the aliens could comprehend. Aeliana looked out at the horizon one last time. Somewhere in the ruins, a flicker of energy pulsed, an echo of the Overlord. A reminder that victory was never permanent. But for now, humanity had its moment. A moment of survival, defiance, and unshakable courage. And from the ashes of destruction, they would rise again.